Step right in. Yeah.
There's a lot of different things that we have to look at when we do it, so it's not one size fits all. You kind of have to cater the experience, and that's one thing we do differently than I think a lot of our competitors do.
I love the idea of the before and after pictures. I mean, that is
Phenomenal.
a huge opportunity. You know, it's a case study.
AI will actually take the marble look or the metallic look that you want, and then we can easily tinker it. When you start, you kind of look at yourself as what are you starting? You know, for me, it was epoxy. So.
Today's guest is someone who brings equal parts craftsmanship, creativity, and drive to the epoxy world. We're talking with Drayton Polzin, the owner of Polzin Epoxy Designs, a company known for turning floors into a vibrant, durable work of art and pushing the boundaries of what epoxy can be. Drayton's one of those rare people who blends passion and innovation. He's constantly experimenting with new aggregates, tools, and techniques, not because it's trendy, but because he loves the craft. His work has gained a strong following online, and his ability to generate leads, build community, and stay ahead of industry trends has helped him to become a thriving brand in a very competitive space. Now, what I admire most about Drayton is his honesty about the journey. He's made mistakes, he's learned from them, he's continued to level up both as a business owner and an artist. He's here to share his stories, his lessons, and what he sees coming next for the epoxy industry. So let's dive in with someone who truly embodies what the Be Kind local spirit is all about: doing great work, serving with integrity, and continually striving to get better. Please welcome Drayton Polzin. Drayton, what's up, man? How are you?
I'm doing great, Drew. Thanks for that kind introduction. I appreciate that, man.
Absolutely. That's what we're all about, being kind, brother.
I love it.
So listen, man, I want to dive right in. I'm super excited to have you. And you know, you are a mover and a shaker in this industry and an inspiration to all things that are epoxy driven. But, you know, I don't think that it's just epoxy that drives you. So I'm ready to kind of peel back some of these layers and kind of get to know who you are and get to know what drives you. So let me throw a fastball at you. You've built Polzin Epoxy Designs into a recognizable brand. How did this journey actually start for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. So originally, I was in sales. I was a beer salesman for a long time. So here in Wisconsin, beer sales is a pretty competitive industry. It's the taverns are crazy, and I grew myself up in that market. I wanted to start working with my hands a little bit more. I enjoyed the sales aspect, but I wanted to challenge myself and try something new. So I got into petroleum technical work. So we started doing fuel compensation lines and programming for POS systems. Alongside that, there were a lot of epoxy coating companies that would actually spray seal the containment for a lot of these in-ground fuel liners. So I got to know these guys and talk with them. And a lot of them had little side gigs on the weekend where they were putting in garage floors. And I'm like, well, that sounds pretty interesting. I'd love to take a look at this and start working with you guys. So started picking up a couple side projects on the weekend. I really enjoyed it. I had tried other businesses in the past and just decided to, after we kind of did a few years of weekend work, just go for it and launch something, and it's been great ever since.
I love it. So back in those early days, what was it exactly that you loved about the epoxy industry that said, epoxy is for me?
Dude, it's the art of the craft. So like, again, being in Wisconsin, we have so much salt here. So you go into a standard garage floor and they just look horrendous. They're cracked up, they're not level, they're messy. And watching these guys with no experience, or me at the time with no experience, would level these floors out, get them all nice and flat, and then put exactly what the customer was looking to have done and just make it look like it was brand new, was such a cool process. I've always enjoyed art and I've always enjoyed being creative. And I'm like, man, this is it. This is so neat. So I really felt
you got a lot of energy.
Process.
Yeah, you got a lot of energy.
Dude, I love it. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. So
it was a lot of fun.
You totally strike me as someone who enjoys innovation. So What's something in the epoxy world that's really exciting you right now? Are there any new materials or new tools or techniques that you're
Yes.
experimenting with?
So there's always new things coming out. Like they've just released like glass chips that you can throw into a floor, and they can polish down these glass chips. So that's something we're really excited to try. We're going to be releasing. We had a custom CNC machine built for our company, so we can actually vacuum mount this huge CNC engraving machine, and it can engrave maybe a company logo or a family motto or something like that right into your floor, and then we can
That's awesome.
refill in all those engravements and then sand it all flat. So we're always playing with new things that are coming out, and sometimes they work and sometimes they don't, but it's so much fun to just try different things that kind of stand out. And it's this industry is always ramping up with new companies coming and trying different things, so it's a fun competition.
Now, how long have you been doing epoxy?
I started my first epoxy floor would have been about roughly 8 years ago.
And
Yeah,
so you started with zero experience, and now
correct.
you are leading all of this innovation. Like, can you kind of walk me through, like, what did that look like as far as you getting your chops and really starting to feel like you understand this industry and where it's going, and being a thought leader in the space?
Yeah, so I have a pretty obsessive personality. I'm not gonna lie. So if there's something that I find a little bit of interest in, I'm up till 3, 4 a.m. researching, looking at, watching videos, calling people throughout the day that are already in this field. So when we started this, it was a lot of trial and error, and that's really all it was at first. So we worked with family and friends that really just knew, like, we don't know what we're doing. We're gonna figure it out as we go. Um, Started working with other companies that we started to collab with, and got some insight from them on proper installation methods and what type of products to use. Started attending seminars, started taking classes, and just, I guess, through trial and tribulation, just slowly got a little bit better at it over time and just stuck with it. But we really obsessed on it, and my whole team obsesses on it. So it's hard to be bad at something when that's all you live and breathe, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. So you say your team, I guess in the beginning, there wasn't a team, right?
Correct. Yep. In the
So what
beginning, it
did
was
that
just
look
me.
like?
That
Yeah.
was, that, yeah. I think for any entrepreneur, when you start out, it's usually maybe you have a business partner or two, but in the early days, it's typically just you. That was a lot. And I had
Yeah.
to learn to fall in love with the process of being an entrepreneur and a businessman, because when you start, you kind of look at yourself as what are you starting? For me, it was epoxy. So for me, I always looked at myself as a epoxy installer. And it took time to realize, no, I'm actually technically an entrepreneur at this point. We're growing a
Right.
brand, we're growing a business, so you have to make that conversion in your head, and that took time, because you wear a lot of hats. You wear every hat, so whatever you want to do,
Exactly.
it's you alone doing it.
Right.
So yeah,
Right. So you started the business. You were initially an epoxy installer. Eventually you evolved and said, "All right, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm running a business. I've got to pay bills. I've got to
right,
figure out how to grow this thing." Right.
correct.
So at what point in time did you start to realize that you needed to bring in some help, and what did those hats look like? Who did you bring in to support you?
Yeah, so it took me a minute. So for the first few years, I was pretty comfortable with just doing it by myself. But there was no scaling the business. We weren't looking, I didn't have that realization that I wanted this to become any bigger than what it was. This was good money I was making on the weekend. I liked my day job. I wasn't eager to leave. And when it kind of clicked and I was ready to make that move, that's what initiated the whole process of, this has to become scalable. Um, the very first hire I did was actually an assistant. I didn't hire somebody else to help me out on floors. I just hired somebody to help me manage my time, because I realized it was the invoicing, the sales calls, the paperwork, all of the stuff that's being done from 9 o'clock at night till 3 in the morning, where I'm like, I need to get this time back. So it was an assistant that we hired first, and it was a nerve-wracking thing, because you realize now you're not only are you responsible for your own bills, but you're also responsible for somebody else's that you're bringing into this thing, and you're really hoping you can keep it afloat.
Yeah.
But once we did that, I mean, it kicked everything off, freeing up our time and just allowing us to grow.
Yeah. And so today, what does your team look like?
So I still have my same assistant I hired from day one. She's phenomenal. She's not going anywhere. We just won't let her, so she's stuck with us.
Nice.
We have 6 technical installers, 2 traveling sales reps, and then 1 sales rep out of office.
Awesome. And so, obviously there were certain things that happened in your business that you said, all right, I need to bring on a salesperson. I need to bring some other folks
Correct.
that are out there to actually doing the installing besides yourself. What role do you play in the business at this point?
I think at this point I'm kind of filling in wherever it needs to be done. I always, everybody calls me the visionary. I think they all kind of scatter when I show up because they're like, oh my gosh, what idea does he have that he wants us all to do today? So they all kind of run away when I show up. But it's kind of gotten to a point where I don't necessarily have to be there as often as I used to be, which is a really cool, unique thing. But I'm definitely I'm the fill-in guy now. Maybe a couple guys are sick for whatever reason. I get to go out and pour a floor that day, and that's awesome. Or my assistant needs a break, and I get to run the book. So I just kind of hop in where needed for the moment, and I'm really enjoying that role.
That is, I think, a dream that a lot of people have, to be able to say, all right, I built this team. I currently have the processes in place where the team can run with or without me. And when I show up, I'm almost a nuisance, right?
Yes.
That's a great situation. That's awesome. So, I want to know kind of some lessons in growth. Like every business owner has these moments that shape them, right? What were some of the challenges and mistakes? Because you talked about failing. You failed a lot in order to kind of figure out, where you fit in. What were some of those mistakes that taught you something extremely valuable about running your business?
I think the biggest mistake I made, and I wasn't realizing I was making it, was just not reaching out. I felt like at the time, especially in the early years, everything had to be done my way. I wasn't really open to discussion or asking for help with anything. I had this vision and this path I wanted to walk, and I felt like I had to walk it alone, because when you start, you kind of do. You do have to walk it alone for a little bit, but you do have to reach a point where you realize you cannot grow without a team. You need a team. And that was by far the biggest mistake I made for the longest time. And I can probably name off 100 technical or installation mistakes or all of these other training mistakes that you make along the way. But if you don't rely on other people or realize that you're probably not the best at every hat that you're wearing, and there's going to be other people that can be brought on that will do a better job than you will. You have to understand that, because you have to put faith in others and realize, like, I can manage this, but someone else can actually thrive and grow this aspect of the business that I'm just barely scraping by at.
Yeah, for sure. So that's kind of a mental shift that you had to have, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And so as you bring these people that you're supporting cast members in, how did you get them up to speed on your processes and the way that Polzin does things?
So we found the way that we do it in-house is originally, after we hired the assistant, everybody that was hired was an installer, because that's what we needed more than anything else. But we found within a few months, a couple years of really bringing on a lot of people that were staying, some of these guys had phenomenal people skills. They would go and just talk right with the customer and just make friends with. They're having coffee when I show up before they start pouring the floor, just chit-chatting with them. And we started to try to take these people that we had installing floors and go, I think you'd be great in sales. Like, let's give you a sales rep. I think you have the natural talent that's something that you would thrive in. So in-house, we try really hard when we bring somebody on, when maybe we're looking to fill a role, and if that person's individual or unique personality type might fit somewhere else, we don't keep them encased or stuck in that role. We'll go, let's try this, because I think you'll just naturally, this is going to align better. And if you enjoy this and you're good at it, you're gonna want to do it more. You're gonna be a better fit for that. So that's something we do in-house. Is in the early stages of hiring somebody, we might shuffle them around a little bit till we find something that really fits for them and that really works and aligns with what they like to do or what they're good at. And it's worked quite well for us.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I mean, that sounds almost like a natural evolution. You've got someone who is like-minded, who enjoys the craft, who enjoys, laying epoxy floors and understands the process. they
Right.
probably have a really keen idea of understanding the end user or the client or customer and what their pain points are, and can kind of put their minds at ease or explore other options that they never even thought of, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And then doing it that way, they all have the floor experience. So, you bring somebody in and they've been on installing floors for 6 months, and it's not that they're not good at it, but they would probably do so well in sales. They know the whole process in and out because they've done it. And we can
Right.
always pull them if we get stuck on a large job and they've got an easy day. Hey, you want to put a floor in today?
Come help out.
Come help out, But it's just a
Yes.
great way where they truly know how the process works. We're not just hiring somebody to come in and sell something they've never done before. So that really works well.
That sounds awesome. I mean, so that really leads into like culture and service and standards. What does the Polzin culture look like?
I think every owner is going to say they have great culture, but I truly do believe we have great culture in our industry and in-house. One thing that we do is we try to find time to sit down at least once a week and just do a little collaboration, a little spitballing, whether the outcome's almost always positive, but it's a great way to see, are there internal issues that are being missed or not being addressed? Are there things we're doing really well? Are there things that we could be doing better? We do preach a lot of inner competition. So it's not so much that you're competing against the second or third install team, but you're competing with yourself. So we always will pull up videos or pictures of one of our guys' floors that they maybe did 2 months ago, and we'll compare it to one they're doing today. And it's like, look how much better this one's gotten. Like you keep kicking butt on everything you're doing. And we really try to instill like, kick your own butt a little bit. Really just go after yourself and become better out there. And it makes it fun. It really does. And all of our guys are pretty driven that way.
Nice. So, when you have these sit downs and I'm sure that there are issues that pop up with the installation process, or, maybe a product that you guys recently tried. How do you guys disseminate information to the entire organization, and how do you hold everyone accountable for that new information that you're getting out to the team?
Yeah. For instance, we just had an issue recently. So there's a quartz system. It's kind of like a fine quartz rock. It looks kind of like those traditional flake garage floors, but it's all just fine little rock. And we had 2 of these floors were contaminated with a white powder that we're not quite sure where it came from, right out of the bag. The installers alerted us. So we called a team meeting, but obviously we're all in various places throughout the day. So we all scheduled a time. We hopped on our phones. We did a team meeting on the phone, made the issue present, realized, hey, we got to be checking these bags first thing as soon as you get to the site, or when you're at the shop, open them up, take a look at these. We'll go out and obviously take care of the customers where this affected. But we all have our little app on our phone that we can just link up and have a little inner conversation, kind of just like a group meeting phone call. I don't know, our assistant set it up, so I'm not very technical with it, but it works great. And it makes it a really easy way to just communicate very quickly. So when it comes to technical issues or something physically that's going wrong on a job site, it's a great way to get everybody on board right away and help prevent that from spreading. So we at least get on top of it, where then tomorrow, maybe I talked to 2 or 3 people, got distracted, didn't relay the message to everybody else, and one team didn't realize and they went out and did the same mistake. So it helps us get ahead of it.
No, that's huge. That is very huge. So what does doing the job right mean inside Polzin Epoxy Designs? Like, what standards matter the most to you and the team?
So this industry it's a very competitive industry, and there's a lot of companies that are doing a phenomenal job on it. What we do to stay unique is we really cater to the customer, and we really put an extreme amount of focus on the end finish. So when we show up on site, we take the customer, we walk them through the whole process. We'll walk out on the garage floor or the basement together and go, hey, here's the things we're going to address today. Here's our goals of what we want to get done for our day today. We do not rush our crews. So we tell our customers, it's not meant to be a one-day process to us. Some companies have the products and the system set up to do that, and that's completely fine. But our method, we really take our time through the days. So we say 2-3 days. We're not quite sure until we get started, but we're going to keep you along for the ride for every step of it, so you're aware of what's happening. So we walk the customer through each step, and then we really put a heavy focus on that final coat, because that's what you see. It's that last step of it. It's all hands on deck. So this is not a rush thing where it's like, oh, easy, short day today, get home, you guys get to enjoy the rest of your afternoon. It's, we're going to show up, we're going to have maybe an extra guy there that we don't necessarily need to have to kind of walk the floor and keep an eye on things. We're really going to take our time on that final coat. So it's just absolutely, it's gorgeous right off the bat.
No, that's huge. It's that lasting impression. And that was actually my next question was like, you come across as someone that's super genuine about, that entire customer journey, right? And what does that approach really entail? So it sounds like you're extremely detailed. You communicate effectively with the customer. They understand exactly what the process looks like. Even though they've seen the one-day garage epoxy, this is not us. We are actually looking at that final product, right? How does that go over? I'm sure that you have that conversation in the beginning with the customer, and the customer says, I heard that we can have this done in a day. What does that look like, or what does that sound like when you're having those types of conversations with the customer?
Yeah, and I don't want to bad talk the one-day systems, because there are areas that work really well for it. There definitely are. Being in Wisconsin, we have major temperature swings, humidity swings, and we really try to inform our customers on the technical aspect of these coatings. So it's not so much we can come out and roll some paint down and make it look really nice for you, but how long is that going to last? Where there is so much more prep and different types of coats that have to be put in per type of concrete and per type of condition for the environment. So we really take the time, if the customer wants this information, to sit down and go over the technical aspects of it, because with some of these longer systems, some of these things soak a little deeper into the concrete, or maybe they'll hold back more of a moisture vapor resistance, so they won't peel over long periods of time. And there is no one coat solves all in our world. So we have to kind of custom cater this experience or the product line for what they're doing. I don't put necessarily the same systems down in a basement that I do up by the lake as I do in a basement in Madison, Wisconsin. They're set up very differently. So we just
having that conversation. So having that conversation with the customer, you're basically informing them that, hey, your concrete is a unique situation, and
whatever.
There's a custom process to this, and we actually have to lay eyes, we have to touch it, we have to feel it, we have to smell it, to see exactly what that process looks like.
Yeah,
I love it.
And I mean, there's a wide variety of things you can do. You can moisture test it, you can do density tests, you can really take a look. These days too, like there's an ash shortage for concrete for a long time, so concrete companies were putting all sorts of stuff in concrete we've never seen before. So we've had issues over the years where certain types of resins don't actually even bond to the concrete after it was prepped, just due to an additive. So there's a lot of different things that we have to look at when we do it. So it's not one size fits all. You kind of have to cater the experience, and that's one thing we do differently than I think a lot of our competitors do.
I love it. That sounds like it not only helps with the sales process, but it also helps with the warranty of the product down the road.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. So, I understand that obviously you're an artist, you're a businessman. How have you approached building systems, especially when it comes to generating leads for your business?
All right. So that was something we struggled with for a long time. Obviously, we've used the Be Kind marketing for a long time. That's worked really well for us. I will say that. So our new online presence has helped us a lot getting the leads in. Something that we've had to do locally is we've connected with a lot of other businesses. So we started going out with builders and shaking hands with builders and working out promotional deals where if they want to use our services, they can sell it themselves, or we can go and sell it on their behalf and work out some sort of promo rate to help both of our businesses grow. We've worked with pellet stove companies, because pellet stoves are typically sitting in basement floors. So we've gone in and offered a dual package, where if you're getting a pellet stove, you can get a coating at a bundled price with your stove. So we've done a lot of things where we work with our community. We want to keep this local. That we're not traveling states away to put these floors in. We're typically within an hour and a half or 2 hours at most. So we try to work a lot with local companies. And that alone, if you bring on, for instance, the pellet company who have 10 sales rep and now they're going to be working with you to also bundle in some garage floors, you kind of just added 10 sales reps to your business without physically adding 10 sales reps to your business. And we share the love when we go out. We'll be quoting a basement, and it's like, oh, our pellet stove went out about a month ago. We had this flooding here, and it's like, well, here's a card. Give these guys a call. We can do a bundle rate with you. And it just helps all of us grow. And it's been a really cool way to help increase the clients, help increase the leads that are coming in, and just have a wide variety and diversify the types of leads that we're having.
That is huge. That is what we call a gold nugget. Going out and
Gold
really taking,
nuggets. I like that.
Yeah, that is a gold nugget, man. You're taking inventory of like your local area, right? And you're trying to figure out, hey, where can we form partnerships and relationships with other people who are also out trying to build their business? Where is there a common denominator that helps to bridge the gap and, serves a couple of purposes for the end user, and the end user ends up coming out, stoked, right?
Absolutely. And you kind of have to drop that, like, what's in it for me mentality. That has to be going. Right. You have to think, like, how can we help this business we want to align with? How can we help them grow? Because in return, you're going to grow as well. You're going to grow together. It's mutually beneficial. But we try, especially with our team, like my sales reps and my assistant, because she does a lot of the original brokering with these deals, is she goes out and she goes, how can we help them grow substantially? Because if they can grow and they can boom, we'll be right there alongside them. And that's one of our philosophies.
I love it. So are there any tidbits that you can offer to the audience where they could start to even, begin networking and trying to figure out where those relationships can be formed?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of states and counties have what's called a BNI group. That's a great place to start. So we started the BNI about a year ago. It was our first time getting involved with that. So it's a bunch of local small business professionals that usually meet together once a week or once every other week, share their stories, share the type of work that they do. We'll reach out looking for help or assistance with certain things. Maybe it's leads, maybe it's employees, maybe it's advice. So a local BNI group is a great way to get started meeting some of the other local professionals that you're working with. Something I ended up doing was I would go, when I was first starting, is I spent a lot of time at our local hotel travel bar, and I would actually just sit there and order a cocktail and just chat up conversation, because a lot of these guys that were popping were traveling businessmen, and it just started getting negotiations and things going and just learning a little bit about the types of questions to ask and what other people are doing in lines of work, what they're doing to be successful. So you get a little pesty, honestly. There's nothing wrong with being just a little bit pesty to see what other people are doing and to meet people.
Stay pesty, my friends.
Stay pesty.
That's awesome. That's great advice, man. So, a lot of folks are out there, they're trying to build their business, they're trying to establish their network, and they just don't know where to start. So join your BNI group, your local BNI. There's also chambers that, that you can become a member of. There's quite a few different networking groups. And if you are a homebody, you can also join networking groups on, say, Facebook, Find 100%. Different groups on Facebook, and that's a great situation. I understand your social game is pretty on, man. Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, I can't take too much credit for that anymore, but Cammie runs our social, and she is phenomenal at it. So when we started, it was originally just before and after pictures. So we take a little picture of like your torn up garage, and then look what we did here. We slowly turned that into just having fun with it. So all of my installers have like these meta glasses that videotape whatever they're doing when they turn it on. So you'll see them just run around with squeegees on the floor, and then we'll edit those videos and put those together. The team has so much fun. We kind of make a game out of it in the office, like who can come up with a more creative video to post. And they just have a blast doing cool little transition videos or customer testimonial videos, just a wide variety of things to just try to make it fun and keep the videos posting online. Because if you can get at least one post out there a day, it does miles for your business. It really does.
I love it, man. So you really made it extremely easy for your installers. You went and bought them glasses.
Did.
right? This
I
cool
bought them
tool.
all meta glasses.
Oh my gosh! And so all they do, they're out in the field, and they're just like click, click. All right,
Yep.
here's what I'm doing today. That right there is another golden nugget. So one of the reoccurring themes that I've had in these interviews is that you've got to have a social presence. And
100%.
a lot of times I struggle with actually getting content from my clients, right? And what better way to do that than to just make it as accessible as possible and just breed it into the culture when you're out there. Hey, just press record and just do what you normally do.
Just have fun.
Yeah.
And I made it as an excuse because they can talk through them like through the phone. So I'm always like, hey, when I call you got to answer. Well, we're pouring floors. So I'm like, well, you got no excuse anymore. So now you got to pick up that phone. So it was always a little bit of a joke. And then we started just having these little video offs where who could make the cooler video on the floor. And we just made a fun little game out of it. But it's a cool point of view that you get to see from our perspective of us putting these floors in. And we have a lot of fun making them.
That is ingenious. But, I have to say your social game was really on even before Meta came out. So if you're just getting started, I love the idea of the before and after pictures. I mean, that is phenomenal. A huge opportunity. It's a case study, right? People are making an emotional decision to, get their garage redone, right? Correct. So why not show them what you have done from, you've taken this, piece of crap, floor that needs to be flattened and whatever the process is, and you've turned it into these beautiful work of arts, right? What did that look like for you, and how did you kind of clue into that process?
For like the before and after pictures or the social side?
Yeah, like in the beginning when you first started doing social.
So originally it was just that, like I wanna show people what we can do because these floors are really looking great, and it's a cool comparison when you see a before and an after. And when we first started, it was just as simple as that. You just take a picture of what the space looks like before, and then you take a few pictures after. And then well before we had the metas or anything like that, we started just doing little video reels where we'd walk in and maybe we do just a little panorama of the space before we touched it, put the phone up to the garage wall, shut it off, do all the work, pull it off the wall, take a new panorama of all the floor being done or something neat like that. Or maybe it's a funny video of us doing a floor that we just finished, and one of the biggest questions we always get in our industry is how slippery is it? So someone will maybe throw a bucket of water on the floor and we'll try to get one of the guys to slide across and they can't, so then we'll post that and it's showcasing the new floor. And we just try to make goofy, fun stuff, which you don't need anything fancy to do. You can just pull your phone out and get creative with it because it is a competitive industry. There's a lot of posts out there. There's a lot of different pictures. And to the customer, at the end of the day, it does matter how unique your process is, but it's hard to showcase in a picture how yours stands out so differently than the rest of them, especially when you're talking a basic flake system. So you got to really reach out in a different aspect. Like, here's who we are as a company. We're fun. Look at our guys sliding around on this floor. Look at how we all work together on this. We collab quite well, and it makes them feel a little bit more connected to you, as they should, because we want them to.
I love it. Have you felt that all of the energy that you've put into your social has actually helped you with, closing deals and getting more opportunities?
Yeah, it's funny, actually. So we just recently had our little girl was just born recently. And
congratulations.
Thank you. And so I took about 2 weeks away from work completely, and my assistant at the time was on vacation. So our social aspect was about dead for about 2 weeks. We didn't post anything very much, besides maybe a repost or I shared something here or there. And it was kind of shocking to see not necessarily the decline in calls or leads, but the decline in views on our website and the declines on Facebook will kind of give you like a weekly or daily list of who's been on your page, and it just was a sudden drop. And that was only 2 weeks. I mean, it wasn't like we stopped for a month or anything. So 100%, like the daily posts or even every other day, just something. You might not get anything direct from it every single day, but you will get a direct lead from those. And most importantly, it keeps your SEO moving. It keeps your website being viewed. It just keeps you known. And so you got to do it. It's a necessity.
Yeah. I liken it to planting seeds, right? You're going to plant
100%.
them, you're going to water it, and it's going to grow eventually. You may not see it today, but it will get there.
Yep. Yep, that's just it.
Fantastic.
It's like the new version of like it was always when a couple of the older generations that have been in business were always like, well, it's word of mouth. Everything's word of mouth, and word of mouth is still massive, but it's kind of the
Huge.
new generation's word of mouth. They're like, well, just look them up on Facebook. Look them up on Facebook.
Exactly.
So it's just like you got to have a presence on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or whatever it is.
Yes, for sure. Are you TikToking out there? Are you doing any
We
dances?
We are TikToking out there. There is a video, in fact, of me doing a little dance. I'm sure somebody could find it if they wanted to.
I love it. I love it. Let's get into some client stories. Is there a project that really sticks with you? Something that was meaningful or challenging or memorable for any reason?
Yeah, so there is one that completely changed our business. It was one of the coolest stories for us. So at the time, I think we were a crew of maybe 3 or 4, and we had recently started selling products as well. So we were starting to work with other contractors, and we were bringing people in to kind of use some of the stuff that we use because it was working so well in our region. We wanted to kind of share the love and say, hey, a lot of the issues that people were running into or other installers were running into, these products were resolving. And a gentleman flew up from Illinois to Fish Creek, drove down to us to meet with us because he was looking at starting his own epoxy brand, and he wanted to talk with us about this. He wanted to get into the metallics, the marble floors, which is something we do quite well. And he was a little bit out of our service area. It's like 3 hours and 20 minutes or something to the location he wanted to get done. But we really had a great time getting to know him. He was a great guy. We were really jiving well, and I said, screw it. We'll make it work. We'll find time to go down there. And I was kind of felt like I shot myself in the foot a little bit. I'm like, we're dedicating all of our guys down here for about a week. We're going to be missing an opportunity here. Like, whatever. Yeah. Well, we said yes, so we gotta follow through. Long story short, we did the work. It turned out phenomenal. We actually learned through time that I think he was on business like 13 or 14 at the time, and incredibly successful. He took us under his wing. He mentored us. He helped me work on my business models. I mean, meeting Tim had changed our entire perspective or alignment of where our business was going. And to this day, we're incredibly close friends. So just that one little connection of kind of taking a leap and doing something we probably weren't supposed to really, wasn't maybe the best decision at the time to travel 3 hours for a small floor, and it completely changed everything for our business. So it's
changed the trajectory, huh?
Exactly. Yeah. So
that is
really
so
cool moment.
Awesome, man. That is so awesome. Yes, you never know. You never know who you're going to come in contact with and how that's going to translate for you personally or for the business. So,
absolutely.
That's a great story. What's a moment where you felt like a client, you did something for a client and you're like, man, I truly love what I do?
Yeah, we've had a couple of those. For us, it's the metallics, because the flake floors they're great, don't get me wrong, but flake floors is kind of like the peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You can only master it to a point where I'm like, I can't really get this peanut butter and jelly sandwich any better than it is right now. But the metallics is a completely different
What if you add a third slice, though?
You could add a third, like double stack it almost.
Yeah, like a Big Mac.
Yeah, just keep double stacking it up. Have extra peanut butter, a little almond butter mixed in. Yeah, you can get creative.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, you can always get creative. But it's still a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, all right?
That's true. That's true.
And we love doing them, and they are cool how they do change every few years, and they are a lot of fun.
Right.
But the metallics is a completely different game. You can try to lay down that same pattern 100 times, and unless you really know what you're doing, it's next to impossible to get that same look. And so we were doing a basement for a guy that he was able to drive his nice little high-end cars down into his basement and park them for like a little car museum. So it was an intimidating job. It was a very large basement. I really didn't want to mess this one up. And he was one of those where he would say, we'd show him a sample board. He's like, oh, I really like that. And then the next week I brought his board back to show him again, and I grabbed the wrong board, and he was like, "Oh no, that's the one I wanted." And I'm like, "Oh boy, okay, so this is not the same as the one before." So I was getting a little nervous. So I'm like, "All right." And we put it in. It was one of the coolest metallic floors we've ever done. It just, everything aligned perfectly. And the customer came in and just literally just mouth dropped. He's like, "This is incredible." And he brought all of his cars in. He was sending us pictures every week of all of his cool cars on this floor. And it was just one of those feelings like, "Oh, we nailed that one." That's a really cool feeling.
That is so cool.
Yeah,
that is so cool. I love it when you get a beautiful coated floor, because, you know, I actually did a commercial for one of my clients where we have them sitting down on the floor eating sushi, because it's almost like people want to eat off that floor. They want to do everything off that. You know, it's beautiful. So, anyways, there's a lot of things that are coming into the industry, and where do you see epoxy going right now?
It's definitely getting more, I don't want to say exotic, I guess. People, they're getting very creative with the different types of aggregates. Like, for instance, like Terrazzo's always been around, but now they're doing like glass chip Terrazzo. Like, that's something I mentioned before. So that's, you're literally throwing glass chips into your floor and then repolishing it smooth. There's glow in the dark powders, there's black light powders, there's transitionals. So depending how the light hits it, they change different colors. Something we've been playing around with is actually running LED strips underneath the metallic floor. So the whole floor, you can have LEDs kind of waving in and out with a light up floor. Wow. So, I mean, they're really getting kind of nutty with what they're coming up with, and we're here for it. We love it. So
I love it.
It's getting very creative. It's getting much more artsy, because back in the day it was either flakes or just a solid color, and that's kind of all it ever was, and people are getting pretty excited about it.
So are you somehow being able to implement AI into the floor as well with those LED lights underneath the floor?
We've done a little. I like the idea of AI implemented to that system, so we'll have to make a note of that. One thing we've done is we've trained an AI model that's worked really well with our phones. We worked with a local programmer where we can go out and take a picture of your space, and AI will take, they have it already for the flakes. A lot of apps exist where you can do like the flake patterns, but AI will actually take the marble look or the metallic look that you want, and then we can easily tinker it. So we can maybe pull just a couple veins out or change the swirling pattern slightly. Because one issue we had with a lot of the apps is they'd be like, "Oh, I don't want that brown to be so dark," and we would make the adjustment, but then it was like maybe 30 shades lighter. Where ours now, you can really critique it down to be very finite points of what that customer is looking for. And that eliminates a lot of our time too of making samples, because originally the way to do this was we'd make you a couple sample boards, we'd meet with you, you'd tell us yes or no, we'd make more sample boards, we'd meet with you, and it just added a lot of time to just figuring out what your vision was. Where now the AI app, we can sit there and get really close and usually nail it off one sample board and lock it in without having to make you 34 of them. But we will make 34 of them if that's something that you want.
But I mean, you basically found a pain point, not only for you and your customer, but you applied technology and today's technology to solve that pain point for you and make it much easier. So how much time did that save you?
Oh, I mean, days. Working with one customer. I mean, there's a lot of times we're working with a customer that has a cabin 2 hours north from us, and that's the space that they want to look at these samples with. Well, to really get a good feel for how that sample's going to look, you kind of need to go to that space. What's the lighting like? What are the colors like? What's the vibe? So you got to lay these boards down on the floor. If they don't like any of it, it's a 2-hour drive back. Make them again. Meet with the client maybe a week later. So now this leads that you have and this potential customer that you're trying to secure and work with, you're now spending 3-4 weeks just trying to find time to bring these boards to lock down a pattern, where now we just do it usually in a Zoom meeting or through emails. We work on the app, we send them a little proof, and then we'll meet with them one time to provide a physical board. And
that is fantastic.
Dramatic. Yeah, it's a huge time saver. So,
man, that is a gold nugget. I guess you got to find a local programmer near you.
That's right. Support the local community.
There you go. That's beautiful. Man, I love that idea. Uh, so what is something else that, you know, again, you're very innovative, right? What keeps you moving besides the brand new little girl that you just brought into the world?
I I think I love the game. I just like to
Yeah.
wake up and just yeah, it's like it's my drug of choice, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I really enjoy the game. I like to wake up and go, what are things we can do to improve this business? What are things we can do to improve ourselves? What can we do to just be a little bit better, 1% better today than we were yesterday? I like the act of discipline. So it's just something I
Yeah.
truly enjoy it, and it makes it easy if you enjoy doing it. So for me, it's as simple as that. It's really
I
all
love
there
it.
is. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a passion, there's a drive. I mean, you've
100%.
taken some of your creativity and moved it to, bar tables as well, right?
We
Like
have.
countertops and that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So can you talk about that a little bit?
So that was just a thought that we had. So we're like, we're doing this on floors. Can we do this on bar tops and tabletops? And I had such a strong background in the bar industry selling beer. I'm like, I have all these connections of the old bar owners and the distributors. I'm like, I know we could definitely, that's an in for us. And
Right.
so we met with one of my old accounts, and I said, "Hey, we'll do it for free. I just want to. I don't even know if it's going to work. This thing might fall apart in a month. I have no idea." And so they're in Oshkosh, which is like 30 minutes south from us, and we put in this really pretty, like pearlescent champagne bar. She owns a little wine venue, and that's been up for probably 4 years now. It looks great. She loves it. We've experimented with different types of traction because the only issue we had originally was it was too slick. So people were sending
Mm.
glasses down or putting a beer down. It would like slide right off the bar. So we're like, okay, yeah, exactly. So I'm like, we got to add a little traction or something to this. So
Yeah.
we've kind of played with it and got it locked down to where we think is a pretty good spot. And we love doing bar tops, tabletops, things like that because it's like a floor, but you get to use your hands. So you get a little bit more control over it, and our guys love doing
And
them.
you get to eat off of it.
And you get to eat off of it. Usually after it's done, once it's cured, I have a couple guys that say this stuff kind of looks and feels like ice cream. I'm like, keep it out of your mouth. Keep it out of your
Yeah.
mouth. Let's,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Don't lick it. It's
yeah,
not good
don't
for
like
you.
it. I don't know if
That
insurance is going to cover you eating that.
I love it, man. Yeah, I remember the first time that I met you and I went and checked out your website and I saw those bar tops. I was like, dude, this is incredible. This
They're
is
so much
absolutely
fun.
gorgeous. Yeah,
Yeah,
man,
thank you.
that's fantastic. We have probably a lot of folks that are just starting out that are, our audience here. What advice for up and comers do you have? Someone who's been as talented as you, how did you, fit your artistic and your passion for this into an actual business model?
Yeah, it for me it was a lot of trial and error, but it's that ability I think like I was always told by other entrepreneurs and people that we were talking to at the time like, ignore the critics, ignore the critics. That was always like a common thing. And I didn't really have a lot of exterior critics. Nobody was telling me you can't do this, you can't do that. But what I realized is there's a lot of self doubt that kind of plays in when you start something like this, and when you start going, I want to turn this passion into a business model. I want to make this scalable. You really start to think to yourself, I don't know how to do that. I've never done
Yeah,
this before, and this self
we
doubt
we call
creeps
that
in.
the imposter syndrome.
The imposter syndrome, absolutely, and you
Yes.
have to embrace a little imposter syndrome, and you got to
Yeah, you
learn to
do.
be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah,
Even after you start doing it, it really doesn't get any easier. You just have different levels of it. It's just a different part of the
exactly.
game that you're at, but you're still going through it. You're still going to be in rooms where you don't feel like you belong or talking with people that you don't necessarily feel like you're at the right level to be with yet. And you just have to have that, you have to silence that inner demon and just realize, I got this. I'm the king of my domain. I can do this. And just find that confidence. Because once you can get to that point, the whole world changes. You can do whatever you can do it. You can
Yeah,
totally do it.
absolutely. No, that's great advice. So embrace your imposter syndrome, own it, and continue to improve and continue to grow, right?
Absolutely. Yep. Love
So
the struggle.
yeah, enjoy the struggle. So with that struggle, it seems like obviously your business has grown tremendously, and I understand you are actually branching into other businesses and what have you. What does your goal structure look like?
So That was actually something that recently me and my wife were even talking about, because we do a lot of our weekly chats when it comes to our business and our family goals and just things like that. And for the longest time, I truly didn't have a goal structure. For me, it was always just, this is where I want to be next month, where it was, I want to have another employee here, I want to hit this. We started taking the time now where we really write it out. All right, what are we looking at for revenue dollars? Where do we want to be at for revenue? Where do we want to be at with maybe amount of jobs we're doing a year? What do we want our business to look like compared to what it looks like now, or what it's going to look like in 6 months? What are these differences I'm hoping to see? Because when you get it on paper, you start to then go, okay, how are we going to get there? It's not just in your head where you're like, oh, I'm going to make this happen. Well, how?
Yeah.
How are you going to make it happen? But writing it on paper, then you find yourself writing down the steps. All right, here's the things we're going to have to do every day, that little 1% or that little chip off the block to get to this goal or to get to what we want it to be, whatever that might be.
You're reverse engineering, right?
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. So for the longest time, it was always up here, and it was just cluttery, and it didn't make a lot of sense, and it was working, but maybe not at the speed that it could have been. And now that we've been taking the time to really dive into like, what is that goal and what are the steps we have to take to get there, that works quite well.
That's huge. That is huge. And I think, I was once told by a mentor that you need to have it written down in order to know where the heck you're going. It's just like,
100%.
Hey,
I don't know why that is. I don't really get why that's the case, but there's something to that. You do have to write it down, and not in your phone. You got to write it down.
You have to write it down. But, to me, it now makes sense. I mean, if you're going to a hotel across the country, you better get directions.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
And so you know where that end destination is. You've got to figure out what are the roads that I have to take? What are those extra little goals that those I call it, bite-sized pieces to take down the elephant.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
Understanding what that process looks like and visualizing and actually, being able to, it's almost like you're manifesting where you want to go.
You kind of are, but you're creating the roadmap for that manifestation. So yes, You're manifesting it, but you're making it happen through planning and organization, because it's so easy to just keep it in your head. Like, this is what I want to do. We got to make this happen. And you will probably get there if you keep that. If you live and breathe it, I'm sure you will. But if you write it down, you really, you can get finite with those steps. Like, all right, we got to start here, work our way here first, then we can get this.
Exactly.
And then it kind of haunts you.
These are the little small goals.
Yeah, I haven't scratched this one off yet. We got to get this one done. So it really it stays on you. Yeah.
I love that. That's another gold nugget. But another gold nugget that you touched upon is your partner in crime, your wife, right?
Absolutely.
How does she play in the business? What role does she play for you?
Yeah, everything. I mean, I'm so blessed to have such a supportive and understanding wife. So originally, we got into this kind of together. So I started the whole service side, and that was my baby. And then she was still working her day job to help support me and help our transition from me going from a good paying full-time career to making it work day by day, not knowing where the next job was going to come from. So she was incredibly supportive throughout that. And then when she transitioned to the company as well, we kind of fill each other's low spots. So where I struggle heavily on the organization side and keeping things written down, what our next process is going to be, that's where her strengths are. So she would keep us both very aligned and focused. I'm very, let's do this, and this. And she's like, well, we can probably only get maybe 2 of those done today. So let's pick the 2 out you want to do. And so she really made it attainable, or the goals and the things we wanted to do. She's the whole reason we were able to do it, because I would probably still be 50% behind if I didn't have her support and her drive. So
I love it. And I love the fact that you guys actually sit down and you look at goals together, and she keeps you aligned, you're dreaming too big. The dream is achievable, but let's start with this small dream first, right?
Correct. How are we going to get there?
Good.
Yeah.
My wife does the same thing too. She's like, "Hey, come down here."
Come
down here, please.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm a big pacer. I always talk and pace. Yep.
Right. That's the power of an entrepreneur, right? We're always dreaming for what's that next step to grow,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I was told by a mentor, it's not so much a power of more. It's more of like the inability to turn it off. It's like you're lacking something. You don't have an off switch. It's like it's probably a fluke, to be honest with you. But
that's passion, man.
That's
passion.
Dude.
Like
that's
when
drive,
you truly
obsession.
love what you're doing,
you gotta go all in.
Yes, you gotta go all in.
Burn the boats.
So
dude.
you lead me to my next question, which is mentors. Are there any good podcasts that you listen to right now that bring a tremendous amount of value?
Nothing I can think of off the top of my head for a specific podcast, but what I like to do, a little nerdy thing that I'll do is once a week I usually do like the compilation videos of like motivational podcasts of this past month, and I get all the tidbits of like a good wide variety of different views and perspectives, where each clip's maybe a minute and a half to 2 minutes long, and that just fires me up. I don't know. I get really focused on that. So I don't sit down, and I probably should start watching one like all the way through, but I do love the compilation videos where I can get I'll sit there for 4 hours at the end of a week and just watch these compilations and just get super fired up. So
is that part of your process?
That is part of my process. Yeah.
I love it.
It kind of just keeps you focused, makes you feel rejuvenized.
Yeah. How about any good business books that have kind of helped you with formulating your path?
I know it's a little cliche, but 48 Laws of Power has always been one of my favorite reads. I really enjoy that. I think it's just helps you understand how all of our minds kind of work down at their core. There's The Science of Money. That's a really good one, and just understanding the value of a dollar. There's a handful of them, and I'll have to definitely send you over a list. I can't think of them off the top of my head, but I do have a few that I typically reread quite often. Rich Dad, Poor Dad is like an iconic one. But
it's one of my favorites.
Yeah, there's quite a few that I try to make a point. I'll read like a nonfiction and then two fictions, and then a nonfiction and a two fiction. But I love my audibles. So personally, when I'm driving around, I'm audibles all day.
All day long. I can't live without my Audible. I've got like 50,000 books on there.
Oh yeah, I know. It's like I let it get to like 10 or 12 credits, and I'm just like get them all right away, and then we're just gonna binge through them. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah. That's me. We are kindred brothers in that light.
I love that.
Let's see. I would. What's some of the best places to find you on social? We talked about your social, but do you have any individual socials?
Yeah, so looking up Polzin Epoxy Designs will 100% pull up the majority of ours. And then we run one called That Epoxy Dude. And that's kind of one that we just do independently. So it's kind of, we don't really rep our business too much in it, but it's just us having fun doing what we do. So me and a couple of the other installers, when we're out actually doing like the really fun, unique pours, we'll throw it underneath that catalog, and it's just something where it's not meant to be salesy. It's not meant to be a push to work with us. It's just meant to be, we love doing this, and check this, look how cool this turned out.
Yeah, you guys like having fun out there.
We love having fun. That's what it's all
awesome.
about. Yeah.
Yes, sir. And if someone wanted to work with you, what's the best way to get a hold of you guys?
There's a form on our website, I believe, and then you could also email me directly, and I don't know if I should provide that right now like this.
Yeah,
or if there's a form.
Yeah.
So Drayton P, so DRAYTONP at polzindesigns.com. It would be a phenomenal way to reach me directly.
So I've exhausted my questions for you, man. This has been amazing. I'm super excited to have you. Tell me, is there anything that's burning on your heart that you need to leave the people with?
You know, I think if you're in that position where this is something you've been toying with, where it's like, do I want to start a business? Do I want to get into this? Maybe I have a passion. I'm doing this on the weekends. Do I make that leap? Just do it. You got to do it. If that's been a burning desire that's been eating you up for months or years, the time is now. Do it. And what's the worst that could happen, right? It's like,
I love it, man. So that brings me to one more question. I know I just said I was going to wrap up, but you started this as a side hustle, right?
Yes, correct.
At what point in time did you decide, you know what, this is no longer a side hustle and I can make a shift to going full time with this bad boy?
Yeah, so it was a podcast I was listening to, because I was not at all ready to make that leap. So we were working I had a pretty good stable job. The weekend jobs were going great. The epoxy business, we got our craft down. So that part we had. I didn't really have anything in a savings account at the time for this. I didn't really talk to my wife too much about it. I probably did this the way you're not supposed to do it.
Yeah.
But somebody had talked to me.
Cut. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Here. Let's redo this real quick. I was listening to a podcast and I was with a good friend of mine, and we were just really on a topic of just burn the boats. Like, it's so hard to go where you want to go when you have a fallback plan, where it's like, well, the weekends are going great. This could work, but I've got a safe job and I have all these things, and it's like I don't necessarily have to do it. And I woke up that morning and I put my 2 weeks in just impulsively, and I'm like, we're just gonna do it. Like, we're gonna try it, and just didn't look back. And that was it. You just burn the boats. For me, at least, that was my method.
That's awesome. So at that time, what did it look like? Was it I know you keep saying we, right?
Yeah.
So did you have a team as well?
At the time it was my wife. So she was my main supporter. So when I came home,
she was your main supporter.
Yeah.
She was your main supporter.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm gonna put in my 2 weeks, but I'm not going to discuss it with you.
If you remember, I'm usually riding up here and she's got to pull me back down, but every now and then you got to let the eagle fly, man. You know, you gotta.
Right? Yeah, you do.
You gotta just. Sometimes it's my job to pull her up here. Yes. Oh yeah. I know. I got an earful when I got home, but she was great. Man. I mean, I came home and I said, "Here, this is what I did today," and she's like, "All right, well, that's the call. We got this." And I'm like, "Perfect. We got this."
And man. And that is amazing. I mean, that's another gold nugget, man. Like, you know, the people in your life supporting what you're doing.
Absolutely.
And just believing in you and understanding that this is where my passion is, right?
Yes. That's huge.
And supporting that dream. That's huge. Absolutely.
And if you feel like you don't have those people around you that are massively supportive, you can find them. You can build those friendships. You can look out and you can meet people that you can really work with and build a dream together with. They're out there. There's all these dreamers and people that want to do something. They exist. We're all just kind of crazy. So you just got to go where the crazy is, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. But it's out there.
What about your epoxy network? You know, other folks that are in the business, where do you find those types of, you know, support groups?
So you're talking like other installers and things like that?
Yeah, other installers,
Yeah, so there's a lot of great Facebook community pages out there. Concrete Coating Professionals, I believe, is one. Metallic Designs is one where there's thousands and thousands of members. That's how we got started. So we would go into these groups, get accepted, and then search for our area, like Wisconsin. And then we would find little people that were posting areas around us, and then we would just reach out to them directly, like, hey, I'm new in the industry. And most people are pretty receptive and want to help you out. You always have a handful that are like, get lost, and that is what it is. But
it is
that's part of it. So
it's normal.
Normal. And so that's how we actually met with a lot of the guys that do what we do, and we collaborate. Like, we're big preachers of why have enemies when you can have friends. So for us, it's if we got true competition that we're going back to back with, we go out and we buy them a dinner, and it's like let's get to know each other. Let's see how we can work together and collaborate. And so a lot of the times too, for like our very large scale projects, because we're still a very small company, it's hard for us to take on an 80,000 square foot project or a 60,000 square foot project. We bring a lot of these other companies in that we know do high quality work, and we handle this job together and just split the profits. And it allows us all to work together and thrive, do something none of us could do on our own, and collaborate, and keeps us all aligned. So it's just one thing we do.
That's another gold nugget, man. That is another gold nugget. You know, make friends, not enemies, right?
100%. This
has been incredible.
This has been a blast.
Absolutely,
I love
incredible.
This.
Dude, I appreciate
this
you.
This is awesome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I appreciate you. I appreciate the energy you're bringing to the table. It's really cool to be able to peel back the layers and you know, find out who Drayton is.
Me too. Yeah. This was fun to find out. Yeah.
Who am I?
You never
If you
really
guys wanna
look
find
into
out who you
yourself
really
as
are,
often as you do. Yeah.
come and be a guest on Be Kind Locals podcast, and I will expose you.
Yeah, 100%.
Brother, I appreciate you. Thank you so much, and we're gonna have you back again, probably sometime soon, because you have a lot of value to bring to the table.
Well, maybe next time we'll fly out to you. I'd love to come over there and meet you face to face, and we could do a little sit
That'd be
down.
fantastic.
I'm all
let's
in
go.
for
Let's
that.
go. Yeah, that would be fantastic. Come
All
out
right.
here to Temecula, California.
You got
Wine
it.
country. We'll go out and have a sandwich or something like that.
That sounds great. Peanut butter and jelly.
All right.
Yeah.
Take care.
All right. Thanks, Drew.